Hello, everybody. I am sitting here with Leanne Kavanagh, who is our Uplift Lifestyle Astrologer. I just love saying that because I'm just so grateful that my company has grown in such a way that we can have all of these incredible modalities and all of this shared wisdom and have the experts who are so brilliant at it bring it forward. So it's so good to have you on the team, Leanne, and it's so good to have you here in front of me, looking in your beauty and just being with your energy. So this is on the YouTube, so you might be seeing us. Hello, hello, if you're seeing us. If you're listening on the podcast, please let us know that you're listening. Please share it, subscribe, like, tag us in your stories. Let us know you're listening to this. Many of you will be in my world, and Leanne may be very new to a lot of you. Or maybe you're someone who's listening, one of the many people who has already booked a reading with Leanne, which would be really incredible to listen in on this and catch a vibe. And if you're thinking of booking an astrology reading, this is going to really give you a lot of support and insight as to what these unique astrology readings look like that Leanne runs through Uplift Lifestyle. So, without further ado, let's dive in. Leanne, can you introduce yourself to our audience through the lens of astrology? Everything that you are, everything that you dial in on through the lens of astrology.
Absolutely. So thank you. First of all, I'm so excited to be here and I'm so excited to be a part of the team. I mean, astrology for me has always been a tool for understanding life and understanding myself, which I feel is the greatest thing astrology can bring us, is how do we understand ourselves on a cosmic level, because we are cosmic beings in a cosmic world and, made of the stars and a part of the beautiful planetary lessons that are happening all the time, all around us. And I always loved astrology since I was a little kid. I would go up to the library because I'm not old. Just kidding. I'm an 80s baby, but still, I'd go to the library and, get books and try to figure out what my chart meant. And that was before I even knew my birth time. As I grew, I did some apprenticeship programs with some really great astrologers, and I loved that, but I really wanted the education. And for me, that is something I'm so passionate about, is really true educated astrology, because we work in a world of psychology. And when you are speaking to somebody's internal workings, we need to be just ever so tender and delicate and loving in the way that we present that. And we have a great responsibility as astrologers. So I did take my diploma program through an incredible organization, the Canadian Association for Astrological Education. I say because I'm involved with the organization now as a diploma certified. I am the president. I know, it's a fun thing to say. And it's true. And it is true. And we have an incredible group and beautiful students. And I get to carry on my passion for education through astrology that way too. So yes, that's me in a nutshell. And I take clients all the time. I have a beautiful group of clients. I have new people coming in, depending on what you're looking for. We can live in the rhythm of the planets, where we're using our chart as a map to help guide us through the seasons, quarterly or bi-yearly, or we can be in the zone of, I need a deep look at myself.
Yeah.
And that sets us on the path, that opens us up enough, depending on where you are in your knowledge too. That can be enough to be like, okay, I really understand who I am and how I move and how I can flow with what's happening up there. What moon is this that are we under? What planetary shifts are happening? And your chart enough to move forward and really use the sensory of the astrology that way. So,
Oh, I love that. I'm just going to echo this to the audience. So, there's these two ways that we're going to work with astrology. And one could be looking at your own chart and better understanding who you are in this lifetime through the lens of astrology. Another way we can work with astrology is what's going on the cosmic level that is influencing collective energy and our individual chart or our individual life, maybe even irrespective of the chart. Is that kind of correct?
100%, because there's what we call mundane astrology. So that would be where I would say, and I'll use an example, next week, Pluto is going to move into Aquarius. He stays 12 to 30 years in a sign. I believe his last stint in Capricorn was 12 plus years. Now he's going to move into Aquarius for 20 years. Well, the further out the planet, the less personal impact that has on us. But we do know that it has a great global impact. So collectively, we can say, okay, we might see changes in control over the collective communication. Because Aquarius is that whole intellectual network of energy that goes out where we find things and understand things, and the collective consciousness, as Pluto, who loves to transform and rebuild, moves into that sign. And everybody can understand that. Then we can be like, okay, you know, depending again on what your lifestyle is, that might be quite a big deal. If you work in technology, Pluto moving into Aquarius might be quite a big deal for you on a personal level, but it is global mundane astrology. Whereas if I said to you, or you came to me and you said, you know, I want to understand my relationships better, we would look at your chart and you'd be like, okay, what's your fifth house of love and passion? And what's your seventh house of relationships and how you merge and commit to the other? Do you have planets in those places? Where are the rulers of those houses? And we would build a story that would be just specific to you. And that's that personal, more evolutionary astrology. And that's the type of astrology that helps level us up in a sense of just understanding ourselves quite a bit better.
I love it. And I think the main thing that I hear from people who've had their astrology reading with you is that sense of like, oh, this is who I am. And that sense of being empowered to be the authentic truth of who you are. And we do it in such an uplifting, and that's the whole brand of Uplift Lifestyle of our
Mm.
brand here. It's to be empowered and uplifted by something like your chart. I know that there's a lot of people operating in different paradigms who may be like, well, I'm an Aries, so this is why I'm like that. And it's almost this like lower vibrational way of embodying the truth of who you are. What we do in Uplift Lifestyle and what you're doing with these readings is it's really about focusing on the high frequencies of your chart, like the ways in which you can enrich your life even more, come into even more authenticity, which is our highest attraction point of who you are based on that astrology. And from that session, there's this beautiful opportunity to dive deeper and take a longer journey with you, Leanne, as a practitioner, as a facilitator, to maybe go through the highs and the lows and all the different, maybe there's shadow
Mm.
aspect of a chart and maybe there's higher frequency aspects, and go there. But this introductory session that Leanne offers through Uplift Lifestyle is really about this high frequency of understanding who you truly are. And then, of course, diving so deep into the layers of the chart where, let's say you have maybe three aspects of your life that are really important to you. Maybe it's career, maybe it's love, and maybe it's your life's purpose. Maybe those are like really important to you. You bring that to Leanne. You say, this is what's on my heart right now. I really want to understand what's going on with my love life. I really want to know what's next in my career. And with that, what you bring forward, your intention, the astrology really meets you there. And that's really something that I've loved learning more and more about astrology, and working with you and learning about the clients who have worked with you through Uplift Lifestyle about how it is so different, why people come to astrology. Like, it's for so many different reasons. You might be listening to this being like, I don't really care so much about love and relationships. Like, I want to know about money. I don't care about
Mm.
money. I want to know about my future family or my current family. Like, don't you just love how people come to astrology for all these different reasons and how it's so supportive and meets you there?
I love it. And it always comes back to the same thing. It's always that like affirming knowledge.
Affirming.
That's really what you're looking for. And it's not about, you know, some people get afraid that they're going to see something about something bad about them. And that is a lot to do, like you mentioned, pop astrology, being
Yeah.
like, you know, I am a Gemini, so I, you know, I'm this or what have you. And it's funny. And I love all of the memes or what have you. But really, truly, we need to see the shadow to understand the patterning, because the patterning is the lesson. And the
Yes.
lesson is what we distill to bring our greatest gifts to us. So the
Yes.
challenges are actually the most fun to work with. The gifts are flow, and oftentimes we don't even see them. We don't know how great we are at the things we do because they're
Yeah.
easy for us. And yes, I will, of course, say, and it does make you feel like, yes, I do know that about me. That makes me feel so good. But then when you start to dig in and say, okay, well, here's where some of the patterning is, you go, oh, I can understand a new pathway now forward. I don't have to keep retracing that because I do know that that is something I came in here to learn. And
Yeah.
that really is, no matter what you do or how you come in, be it I want to know about having a baby, or I want to know about business moves, or I just want to know why I'm in a funk. And
Yeah.
that's huge too. Just be like, and I mean, I love how everybody actually is an astrologer deep down, because we are moving constantly with the planets, and your body knows and your spirit knows, because you'll come and say, I'm in a funk. I've been in a funk for, 15 months. And we can say, okay, well, your progressed moon has been doing this, or you're in a Saturn time period. This is the time to go inward and think and dream. And then we're moving into something, more active in the next few months. And you can go, oh, okay, fantastic. But you already knew that before you came in. And the same as when you're like, I'm ready for change. You hear that a lot. I'm ready for big change. I feel like something's coming. And it's like, actually, yes, there are some planets saying change is coming. You can choose to navigate that change for yourself, or the planets will inevitably present a new path for you. It's much more comfortable to be prepared and work with the astrology than to be surprised by a change. So yeah, it's all beautiful, and it's incredible knowledge to have. It's such a gift to give yourself, really, truly.
Is such a gift. And with Christmas coming around the corner, give yourself the gift of an astrology reading. It is going to be extremely empowering for you. I love how you described this affirmative astrology, and it's like confirming. I'm a big, and anyone who listens to podcasts or is in my world knows, like, we know truth. We're all vibrating at the frequency of truth, at the truth of who we are. The core of our beingness is vibrating at truth. So when we are presented with truth, even if we never consciously learned it, we're like, oh, yeah, yeah, I get this. I know.
Mhm.
And that's what tends to happen when people get an astrology reading, whether they're just discovering their chart for the first time and you start to speak to their unique design, their chart. Someone's going, oh, this feels right. This is resonating. This feels so good. This is like familiar. Yes, that's me. Yes, that's me. And it's that feeling of affirmation that supports your energy, it supports your physiology, and it supports your dreams, because you're being shown, and many people are programmed through life to not be shown who they truly are, or not be celebrated for who they truly are. But this is like the supportive cheerleading experience of like, this is who you are and this is so good, and let's go, like, let's run with it, let's be supported by it, let's use this energy to amplify it. And that's what I love about astrology. And we spoke recently, I don't know when it was, but we were chatting, I was telling you about how I will always like look at the astrology ahead for the week coming up,
Mhm.
and I tend to really put a lot of emphasis on that. Like, okay, I know that there's a full moon coming. I know that that may mean that I am going to have maybe a little bit less energy coming to that time, or I might need more time to like reflect. I also, though, sometimes have so much energy on full moon. So it's very like, it's such an fire, and we could talk more about that. And I would love to hear your thoughts on all of that. Or it might be like, okay, I recognize that this planet's retrograding on this day, and this might not be a great day to launch something new that has
Mm.
technology and back end to it. So it's like I use it in a really strategic way in my business, and I use it in a really strategic way in my life to set myself up for success. But I often find what I'm doing is like I'm always just writing like, take extra rest, take extra rest. So it's like really the answer is just like turn toward yourself and like really fucking slow down and allow life and the cosmos to do their thing. We're cyclical beings. We're never the same. The law of impermanence is real. We're always changing and evolving. But when we have the human need to conceptualize and understand why this is the way it is, why we feel the way we feel, why this is happening, why we're experiencing this, it's so confirming, it's so affirming, it's so validating. And I think it's important to acknowledge how empowering being validated and affirmed in your truth is. And that's literally what astrology is for people.
Well, it's an activation. It's permission. And no, we don't need it, because we actually have it already. But damn, it feels good.
It feels so good.
It feels really fucking good when somebody says to you, you are good at this, or you're supposed to be doing this, and you know that deep down, but you have just like a block or something holding you back. And then it's like the cosmos, the planets told you that that's what your path is. It's almost like it removes the human excuses, because we're always in our thinky brain, which is a gift for, I will use Gemini as an example. I'm Gemini rising. I tend to be very intellectual. I can intellectualize emotions, right? So yes, when we are always in our thinky brain, we can remove the passion. We can be like, okay, I want to do this, but oh, there's this, and that, right? Or maybe I'm not good enough, or maybe it's not the right time. When you hear that you are in your divine timing, you
Yeah.
do have the gifts. The thing in your heart that's speaking to you is actually your inner truth. It's your inner map that keeps like knocking on the door, being like, hey, remember that thing that we promised that we were going to do when we came here? It's still here. And someone says, hey, you can do it. Like you actually can. It's
Yeah.
here for you. It's part of who you are. You're like, yes, I'm gonna do it. I
Yeah.
have the like empowerment of that.
Totally. And the way that most human beings are programmed through normal society is it's always the same and this is what it looks like, which
Mm,
is almost the complete opposite of astrology and inner authenticity and our uniqueness and our design of, and not even just as individuals, but as a collective moving through energy all the time, planets moving all the time, the earth changing all the time.
mm,
We are so cyclical. So when we get that confirmation of, oh, this is good, this is right. Oh, you know what? Time to retreat, time to go inward. I just find it so helpful and beneficial. So I want to kind of switch gears a little bit, Leanne, and I want to go over maybe some frequently asked questions or something that the person listening right now could be like, oh yeah, wow, I can literally attribute this right now to my life. So everyone's got a different chart. I don't know. I'd be curious. Is there a zodiac that like most humans are? Like, is there like a most humans, like, in human design, it's like, well, most people are Gemini.
mm.
Is it like that?
No,
Or
everybody
no?
is so individual because it's locational.
Yeah.
So your chart is based on the exact minute you were born in the geographical location that you're in, which is what makes us all individuals. And it's not saying that people don't have similar charts. And it's
Yeah.
actually fascinating because with your rising sign, the ascending sign changes every 2 hours. So
It
it's
changed.
pretty, yeah. So it's very specific. Yet we have family members, and it just doesn't even matter what day they were born, year they were born, month they were born. We'll have almost the same rising sign because collectively we come in as a group. Because time doesn't exist, but that's a whole other podcast. But
Yeah, that is.
it's just like so fascinating. No, the best thing you can do if you were like, okay, there's we'll come at it from very basically. If you are like, I don't know my chart, but I really love the idea of astrology. And I know that I feel really connected to the lunar phases, which is a human design. We are meant to understand those. We
Totally.
can work with the phases of the moon. So we can just be like, okay, the first from the new moon to the full moon, I'm going to plan to be really action oriented. Then I'm going to try to do the things, put into place or make things happen during that time period. I'm likely to have more energy
Yeah.
depending, but really truly on a collective level, I'm likely to have more energy to be in my masculine or my action oriented energy. And then once the moon is full and it starts to wane, which is a leaving energy, a decreasing energy, then I might try to plan my months around that's when I plan, that's when I maybe rest a little bit more. I
Yeah.
decide what I'm going to bring to the light for the next 2 weeks after. So we can do that. And that's fairly easy. You can even look up at the sky and understand that, light to the right is getting bright. So we know that when the moon is getting brighter on the right, that we are moving into a full moon phase. We're gaining in energy, and then opposite is decreasing in energy. Or if you can't see the moon, because she rises with the sun when she's in her new phase, then we know that, okay, we're probably building towards energy. We can wait to see the crescent and be like, okay, it's time to start making things happen again.
Yeah.
Now, right, so that's fairly simple. Now, if you know your chart,
Simple but life changing. Like
it's
I
very,
I look at the moon every single night and I have for many years,
yep.
decades. But that is like, whether you even want to understand the astrology of it, just get connected to the moon for your
Mhm.
own wellness, for your own spirit, for your own connection to earth and grounding. But that is life changing information. As the new moon is approaching full, time to get going, action, energy. You can feel it. It's natural. Lean into that. As we go full to new, a little more
Yeah.
introspection, planning ahead for maybe the next new moon, resting. That's life-changing information. Okay, keep
Our
going.
body loves that. And Judith Hill, I believe it's Judith Hill, who I love, said, the moon is the last stop the soul makes before it comes to earth. So
Mm,
if you just connect your rhythm to her rhythm, you will begin to walk in alignment. And that may just be enough, right? Just listen and do that. And that may be just enough to just set you a little bit more towards that path.
I love
Now,
it.
if you know a little bit more about your chart, so you know your rising sign, you can understand the houses, which is how your chart looks when you look at that circle.
Yeah.
Every sign mostly gets to rule a house. And then you could be like, okay, the moon this week, we have a full moon in Taurus, opposite of Scorpio, because the sun is in Scorpio. That's a nice thing to know too. When the moon is full, it's opposite of the sun. So the polarities are active. So our Scorpio and Taurus are active, that energy is active. We could be like, okay, where's that in my chart? You know, for me, that's my 12th house and my 6th house. So I
Mhm.
could be like, okay, maybe and I mean, there's lots of great resources. You don't want to get too googly because it can get scary. You want to try to stay in a everything is a gift area, but just to be like, okay, 12th house, 6th house, those are more hidden houses. They rule our health and our mental health. So maybe I would be a little bit more likely to take it easy. Even though the energy is big, that might be actually overstimulating for me. So I'm just going to drink more tea, try not to over caffeinate. I might decide not to drink, like have a glass of wine at night because that might actually make me feel worse, and make sure I give myself an extra hour of sleep, perhaps. So
Okay.
if you know that, you could start thinking, okay, now if it was in my 5th house, and Taurus, of course, is all about, because naturally Taurus would be the 2nd house of how we attract. And the 5th house is love and taking risks and things that we're passionate about. If the full moon was there, I might be like, this is a really good time to start that thing I want to do. Or I'm going to sit and listen and really connect to my heart space of what I want to bring in, you know? Or maybe I just want to have like something so sensual and go for a beautiful dinner and have that glass of wine. So I want to treat myself, because I know that when I treat myself with love and I allow myself the gifts of life and the sensualities of life, that actually opens myself up to more light, which is the full moon.
I love
So
it.
then you can play, right? And
Yeah.
you can play and you can be like, okay, it's a new moon in Scorpio. I know that rules some of the digestive areas. I know that that also rules sexuality. So maybe I want to just have some alone time. Yeah. Get a little sexy with myself. Or maybe I want to write, do some download writing, allow things to come in, spend more time going inward and be curious about my mysteries, my own mysteries, and spend time with that.
Mm.
Understanding the signs, you don't have to specifically know how to teach astrology, right? You just want to understand some of the basic key things so
Yeah.
that you can connect to the spirit of that sign as the moon is illuminating that energy for us, and then apply it to your life.
Yes, I love this so much, especially, and you know about this, Leanne, when there was the unknown of what my exact birth time was, and
Yes.
who am I? Just kidding. I know who the fuck I am, but I was very much like, I want this to be complete and affirmed. During that season, I found it so comforting to be like, I don't care if I know my birth time. I know what zodiac season we're in. So right
That's
now
right.
we're in Scorpio season. As we're recording this, it's November 12th, 2024. We're in Scorpio season. I know the energy of Scorpio. And if you're listening to this,
Mhm.
go kind of get curious about it. Maybe learn from Leanne, learn from other astrologers. Get curious about, what does Scorpio energy mean and how can I lean into that vibe this moon cycle, this month, this season of the zodiac, and see how, like, you have, like you said, more energy toward those things. So Scorpio being very introspective,
Mhm.
I'm noticing, because I work with so many clients, that we're always introspecting in this line of work, of course, but like there's even more of a call to like wanting to understand self, wanting to understand the mechanics in their brain, the mindset, the mind, wanting to understand who they truly are on a different level. Like there's a way more inward energy. And when we know that and we can lean into that, we're going to be supported because the moon is amplifying that, right? And the
That's
sun
right.
that. So, okay, I love it. One thing that I think most people know, but I just want to say, can you tell us what rising sun and moon are for the people that don't know?
So our rising sign is the sign that's on the horizon at the moment that we were born. So that rules our first house, which is us.
Yeah.
That's our body. So it can have to be what we look like, which is what was fun when we were playing with your,
I
your
look like
chart.
I'm a Pisces rising now. Do I
You
look?
are, but, and I can't remember where. I'd have to look.
I thought it was Capricorn.
You are Pisces rising. I'm trying to think of what your Jupiter is, but I know it makes perfect sense. That's all I know is it makes absolutely perfect sense. Capricorn, you know, so anyways, not to get too much into it, but with your body, I was like, I don't see a Capricorn, but that's okay. And I was like, maybe you're a Scorpio because you just have that beautiful little pointy, lovely face of yours. And anyways, we can look at you and say, we know what you.
Amazing, you know this. Like everyone listening, Leanne knows her shit. She's the freaking president. She literally, you're the president. That's how
I should be the president.
my phone now is just president. You totally should. The energy of just like getting seen, like we're gonna get into a little bit. Well, I'll let you go back to the Pisces to the
Yes.
Moon rising, but like what you know and what's gonna just come and channel out of you when someone books a session. Actually, you get 2 sessions, by the way, for the price of one, which is wild. We'll explain more. What you get when you show up, even when you start telling me things like that, you're like, I don't know, you don't look like Capricorn rising. I'm like, look like one. I didn't even know that was a thing. I'm like, you can look like your zodiac. That is crazy.
It
Anyways,
is, but it is so true. And I'm actually, as you're talking, I'm pretty sure your rising or your ruling planet is in Scorpio, which was for me, I was like, okay, that makes sense because
yeah,
girls got some Scorpio, which is a
I have
gift.
a lot in my chart in Scorpio. On my chart,
Yeah.
I have a lot of stuff in Scorpio, and I think I told you this. I call myself a Scorpio Slayer because Mitch is a Scorpio. My sister is a Scorpio. My cousin, I have 2 cousins that are like best friends that are Scorpios. I have 2 other best friends that are Scorpios. Like I feel that, and I'm a Taurus. The Scorpio Taurus energy.
That's why, right? It's the and yes, your Jupiter. Okay, so this is a great lesson. Your rising sign is Pisces,
Yeah,
and why I was like, you feel like a Scorpio, but your ruling planet is Jupiter. And
yeah.
Jupiter, who rules your chart, because he rules Pisces, is in Scorpio. So we know that there's that Scorpio in your body because your ruling planet is in that sign. And that's how it gets really deep. So regardless, I know that can get really, but that is what you are. You're
I
still a
love
Scorpio.
it. Okay, tell us
Rising
more.
sign is your body, your aura, right? But also how we see you. So I look at you and I'm like, okay, yeah, I see how you present to us is your rising sign. Then your sun is your ego, your expression, where you like to shine your light. So for me, I'm a Leo. And a lot of people are like, that makes sense. I'm personable. And I don't mind, being on stage by any means. And I have been, and my heart is big and I'm loyal. So that's how I like to shine in this life. And
Yeah.
then your moon is your subtle energy. So that is your emotional body. It's how you nurture yourself. It can be your mother. So it's that lineage, that lineage that where our deep gifts come from and how we communicate on a intuitive level. So where the sun is that action, and this is where you get the masculine and feminine and the active and passive energies and the yin and the yang and how we all operate. So the sun would be that active solar energy. That's how we get stuff done.
Yeah.
And wherever that is in your chart is where you are the most active. And then your moon is those subtle energies where the magic is the birthing place where you create is that lunar energy. And then all together they create a very special story that's just yours. The rising and the sun and the moon all talk to each other and they tell a complete story. And you can actually do someone's whole chart just with those 3 things. You wouldn't really have to know anything else about them.
Totally.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have your birth time, you have to look a little bit differently at your chart, but it can also work. And I know a lot of people don't have their birth time and you can stick with your sun and your moon, and the moon changes every 2.5 days. So unless you have a moon that's moving that day, you're pretty good about being able to look at noon on the day you were born and say, okay, I know where the planets are. The rest of the planets would not move because they move in completely different rhythms, and some don't move for days and days at a time. So you could stick with that and you wouldn't have to know your rising sign. You could still get a lot out of your chart. So I get that question a lot about people's birth times.
It's super important. And obviously, like knowing your sun is amazing. Everyone knows that.
Mm.
But if you can take that extra layer, get your birth time, get a reading with Leanne and go into the rising, go into the moon, and then way deeper, obviously she'll be reading your body and be like, I'm seeing this. Like, it's so cool. Do it. Lean in. It's so fun. You're like, you are the greatest gift and you are your own universe. Like learning about yourself is so empowering. And it's something that a lot of us don't turn toward if we're heavily conditioned. But once you liberate
Mm,
yourself, it's like, yeah, I want to know more about me. I fucking love me. Like I want to learn, learn, learn. I want to
yes.
embody the highest frequency. So, Leanne, can you talk to us a little bit about collective energy? We have a full moon coming. I think we've kind of touched enough on the full
Mhm.
energy, but maybe a few last little points about this full moon, and then let's talk about this big shift you're talking about as Pluto's entering Aquarius. Can you give us a
Mhm.
little collective rundown? Full moon in Taurus, what does that mean? I'm also a Taurus, so I'm very curious what this could mean. I wrote down in my calendar, big day for me on Friday.
Yes, and it will depend on the degree of where your sun is. If it's very close to, then
I think
it
it's a
would be or opposite to.
monumental. Whether you, yeah, I think you must have told me this, or I saw it
Yeah.
in my app, but monumental day for me this Friday, full moon in Taurus. Speak to us about how we can best like thrive for the full moon.
The best way to use this full moon would be to consider where you want to attract, what makes you feel worthy, and what shadows stop that, and listening to that. And whatever shadow comes up, going back to that self-worth, that you don't need that external validation or anything coming from anybody else. You can actually remove that shadow and you are in control of your own worthiness, and
Mm,
focusing on what could come that would help align you with your greatest attraction and your highest timeline. That is the best way, because it's a very fertile moon. It's the self-worth story, and it's the intimacy story.
yeah.
Where do we feel safe bonding with the other? And how do we take care of ourselves and bring our own beauty to us? And staying focused on that. That is, there's no other way to, that's the best way to deal with this full moon. It's great. It's great. It's beautiful, especially as we're about to go inward. We're moving into the dark, until the solstice when the light will return. That is the birthing place, the fertile time. So as you are picturing and visualizing what would make you feel so filled with value of your own kind, you're actually setting that in place. Like you're planting those seeds. And yes, it is a full moon. You're bringing things, and you can be grateful for what you have brought to the light up to this moment, which there's nothing better for attraction than gratitude. And then consider what seeds you want to plant, and then allowing the shadow aspects, because everything is a gift and we always want to alchemize it,
Mm,
looking at it with love and allowing that to go back into that fertile soil to bring richness to what you want to bring to the light. Not looking at it with shame, which can be can be some of the shadow of Scorpio, feeling that shame about the things that we keep hidden, right? That we think are the dark waters, the murky waters, and we push that down instead of being shameful or not wanting to look at it, actually looking at it lovingly and using it to plant those seeds of abundance.
oh, I like that. Yeah,
Mm.
in other language, one thing that it's been a recent shift for me, but it's been so helpful, and I feel like this is a great opportunity to just say it out loud. When I used to like when edges of evolution, and I have a little chapter on my book called Edges of Evolution, or like challenges would come, like I always knew this is good, this is good, like this is catalyzing something, this is helpful, this is healing, this is a movement. I always knew it, but it's been a recent thing, and I knew it, and I would teach it, and I would channel on it all the time. It's been a recent thing since my near death experience, and since the summer when I leaned into
Mm.
surrender, where in a whole new way, where I was like, I actually genuinely get excited. It's rare now if a shadow or a challenge shows up, but I'm actually genuinely, I don't just know it's good. I'm like, yay, hello, 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 hello. Thank you for showing me where I need to reclaim power in my life, where I need to come back to the truth of who I am. Like, you'll eventually, I don't know how to coach you to get there, but you eventually get, after enough of leaning into the shadow and leaning into the edges, you eventually get to a point where you don't really experience the edge that often. But when you do, it's kind of like, ooh, this is a little bit exciting. And I just felt like I wanted to share that because
I agree.
something that's been so good is like feeling actually the joy and excitement. Like I used to be like, oh no, I don't want to know too much about the shadow, but now it's just like, oh, like let's alchemize that. Let's use that. Let's move with it. And every single full moon, it seems like we get that opportunity. Things are amplified, whether it's the good or the challenging, we're going to get that amplification and we choose how we lean in. So
100%. Yeah.
um, can you talk to us a little bit about this Pluto transition into Aquarius?
I feel this, well, we have been playing with this for the last 18 months because he, got so close to the end of Capricorn and went retrograde because these planets do go retrograde once a year. So that's why we get the ingresses and the retrogrades back and forth over the same sign into the other sign, same sign, other sign. Now we're moving fully into Aquarius next, I believe it's next week. Both my cats are sitting beside me on
Love it.
any
You're such an astrologer. You've got like plants and cats crawling all over you, of course.
any actual timing notes that I wrote down, but doesn't matter. Next week we'll say. And then we're gonna stay in there for 20 years. You know, Pluto and Capricorn, if we really looked back, and I don't want to focus on any of the darkness that has been in the last, 5 years specifically. But I would say if Capricorn is authority and government structures and religious structures, and he's there to burn everything down, right? To take down the tower, really, especially when Saturn was with him. We have seen that. We've seen the beginning of the dissolve of what no longer serves us in the structures that were in place that aren't faulty. And he shone a big light on that. He really dug that out of the dark. And now we're getting ready to phoenix into an evolution, I feel. And I'm excited. I am excited about Pluto going into Aquarius. I am excited about Neptune moving into Aries. I feel his 165 years around the zodiac, finishing out Pisces, really squeezing out the last little bit of that lifetime and moving into that fresh new spring equinox point, which is it's such an initiating energy for the collective. And Uranus as well, moving into Gemini. We're moving out of that earth and water energy, which is beautiful energy, just a different theme. And some of the fears and the emotions and even the shadow sides of the earth and water can be that stuck energy, the fear of moving forward because we're so comfortable in what we know.
Yeah.
And now these great planets, these transformative revolutionary planets are moving into air and fire,
Wow.
these new beginnings, right?
Wow.
It's so exciting. And any astrologer that has any doomsday, not that there won't be hard things, because there always is, and we have to learn, and it's human experience. We as humans are always on the cusp of the end, and we have been since the very beginning, yet we survive and rebirth again and again and again, and we can believe that to be so. Anyone that says otherwise, it's just fear and it's not true. And the good astrologers see the light that's coming and the abilities that everybody has. And that's also the beauty of it. There's been a guru culture where we have to go to, and yes, we need professionals, we do, and we of course need good guides and leadership. But to have that, the God of change speaking to the knowledge that you already know because you were ever connected to that collective network and moving into that so that you light up and
Yeah.
we light up collectively and connect to each other in a way that is so telepathic and so, oh, it's just like ethereal. It's just so incredible. It will be a really beautiful shift for all.
Yeah.
Not that there won't be scary things. And that's why we have good leaders and good guides in place to say, hey, you're feeling that shadow. Let's get excited about it, right? Let's get curious about our shadows so that we can keep moving forward. Or, you feel stuck. Let's look at ourselves and find what did we pack in our bag that helps align us with what the big planets are saying, the outer planets, as they move us through a collective change. What did you bring in your bag so that you can just feel like, yes, I got this. I'm working with this. I'm excited about the future.
Completely. I had chills the whole time we were speaking of like this energy of excitement about
Mm,
the shifting that's occurring and the change and the transformation and that feeling hope, excitement,
yes.
real joy about your life is that's what I'm here for. That's what we're here for. That's what this is all about. And when we can really look at the astrology and like you described, there's this big transition coming, and it was maybe a challenging, beautifully challenging 5 year stretch plus where shit really came to the surface. And that's
Mm,
often when things purge and release from our lives, is when it really comes up in your face for it to be released. And so many people awakened during this time, and we're always awakening in new ways every single day, but there's this huge great awakening, and this great awakening that creates the new earth, it's cyclical, and it's coming, and it's evolving. And like you described, it's like it's always this cycle in this season of
mm,
coming back, the death and rebirth. That's what I also love about astrology, is it really honors the truth of death and rebirth and seasons. And that is exactly what's happening. So it's like you're awakening into a new level, your reality will look different. And then you get to the next level, and then the next level, and the next level. And it's just this ongoing awakening, ongoing remembering, ongoing coming back to the truth of who you are. And collectively, this is happening, which I think is really, really, really exciting, especially for many of the people listening right now or watching.
mm.
It may feel like you've maybe been more of a leader in your life or in your friend group or in your community, and it might feel almost like it's been heavy lifting at times, or like you've been so positive, or you've been so focused, you've been so devoted, and it's like this excitement of everyone's catching up, everyone's catching on. This is a collective shift happening. More people are rising, more people are awakening. We don't need everyone else to rise and awaken for us to evolve and grow and absolutely enjoy and enrich our lives. But it also feels fucking good when the rest of the when you're like you were talking about the telepathy and everything, it's like,
Mm.
yeah, veils are thinning, and you get that connection, you get that feeling, you get a moment where you're like, I'm connected to that person. And people that you might like, I know for me, being psychic and working with a lot of psychic people, I get so delighted when like one of my normal friends, let's say from high school, is like, I had this feeling and like I wanted to reach out about this or whatever. It's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. This is happening for everyone. Like it's just so beautiful and exciting, and there's hope and joy in the future. And it doesn't need to be this doomsday, don't have
No.
children, don't do this, because the and go inward in this negative fearful way, but rather like, let's expand, let's grow, let's bring community with us, let's rise together, let's bring more children into this world because this world is beautiful, and let's amplify the beauty of it.
100%. And I feel with the nodes, the North Node and the South Node will be moving into Virgo and Pisces in January. We had one eclipse to give us a little touch of it. And that is the purging in the collective, right?
Mm.
So while we have these big planets, the outer planets moving into these really active signs that are going to be like, yes, let's get moving forward, we still have this cleanup, but it's going to be so noticeable. And if that was like the one thing I would give outward is when we're looking at what's happening in media, governments, or whatever, it's like, you know what? Those things actually don't matter.
No, they don't.
Those are a show to distract you from your true purpose. And as long as you're in alignment with your heart and you're living with love without, getting too light in love, because we can hear that a lot, but actually, like, it's very true. We're here to love. That's it. We're here to love and be loved. And anything that comes up that stands in the way of that will be purged out now with this Virgo and Pisces eclipse season, which will be so easy. So you don't even have to worry about you don't have to worry your pretty little head about it.
It's
It will
just
be gone.
it's happening, it's
It will
happening.
just happen.
And I always say this, my community knows, I always say, it's like, you're now allergic to that. Like
Exactly.
you get an instant allergy, you're like, oh, that's not the truth, out. That's not love, out. Like,
Totally.
and you get to be so fucking clear and clean in your energy on that. Like, turn that channel off, turn that channel off, delete, control alt delete, close that tab, clear, and come
Yep.
back to the truth of who you are. That is what this next season relies on for you to fully enrich your life, is just turn out the noise that's any lie, any illusion of separation, turn it out,
Yep.
back to the inward, and then back to the oneness. That's it.
Yep. And then see, you're an astrologer because that's exactly what Pluto and Aquarius wants us to do. So too.
Love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so we're getting close to our time here, but Lee,
Mm,
I want to I want you to share with our community, with our audience, about this special offer
Mm.
that you have been working with many clients through the Uplift Lifestyle community, but we're bringing it now to the podcast. We're bringing it to YouTube. We want more people to access this offering. If you've already had a reading and you want to top up, you want another astrology reading, get another one. Let's go. Talk to us about this incredible offer. It's magical what you're offering. It's beyond generous and it's really exciting. So if someone wants to take it deeper, how are they going to do that?
This has become my favorite way of doing astrology. And I'm just like, why didn't I think about this before? So you sign up for your reading, and of course, we're going to focus on your path, your purpose. That is really what we're looking at. And we're going to get to know each other really intimately. We're going to look at your chart, go through all of your gifts, the shadows, how we alchemize them into gold together, talk about whatever feels good to talk about. We can go as deep as you want to go, and we can stay really in the now as well. It's just really a matter of client to client basis.
Yes.
And I do put on my site and on my cards, which I feel is important to note, is the gift of astromancy. So there is a channeling, there is a psychic exchange that happens because I'm hearing your chart speak to you as you're speaking to me. And the more intimate you are, and of course you get a recording, you get to go back and look at it. There'll be tons of supportive documents. All your charts will come to you in an email afterwards, as well as the recording and some resources to help you understand the wheel of your chart and the natural wheel as you move forward, an aligned being as you've activated your natal chart. But there is definitely a psychic aspect to the reading, which I feel is so beautiful. And I'm always feel so honored to be allowed to see inside my client's psyche. It means a lot to me. Afterwards, you digest it, you let it all drop in. I often say, don't even listen to it. Don't listen to it. Just let what the most important parts of it, which you'll know because you feel them, let those drop in. And then throughout a couple weeks, they may continue and they will continue to drop in, and pay attention, take note of little changes or shifts or messages or gifts that you see, be it a song or something that reminds you of a past memory that you're like, oh, there was actually something in that memory that I needed to see that helps me with the future. Then we meet again, which is another recorded meeting.
Another meeting, another session, you guys. This integration is so devotional.
Amazing.
It's so devotional.
It feels so good. It makes me so excited because we get together and then you say, this has happened. This has happened. I remember this. I dreamt about this. And we pull your charts up again. And that for me is just on the fly and natural. And I let whatever is meant to come forward, as maybe it's an affirmation, maybe it's something that we didn't notice before previously. It wasn't the right time to talk about it. And we talk about it then. And you have those gifts to move forward with. And if it's just that, I thought about this stuff and I really wanted to dive really a little bit more, like to the half an hour that we'll spend together and dive into that one planet that you were talking about that really meant something to me, it something sparked in me, then we'll do that as well. And you have that recording to look forward to. And I say to all my clients, it's a forever relationship. I'm always available. So they can email and call, and I often give my number and text because I have only respectful, beautiful clients and the relationship is honorable.
Yeah.
Right.
There's such a clean energy there. There's such
Always
a reciprocal love. I love
yeah.
this. So this session is offered exclusively through Uplift
That's
Lifestyle.
right.
Leanne is our incredible astrologer on the team, and the session is $177. But it's not just a session; it's like this integration of like a few weeks together in this in-depth way, and then beyond if you want to take it further. So if you're interested in signing up, giving yourself this gift, or maybe gifting it to somebody else for Christmas or for yourself, whatever
Yes.
feeling good around this time, trust that. We'll put the link in the show notes. We'll put the link on the YouTube. And if you have any questions or want more information, connect with me or connect with Leanne. We can give you more details. We can support you and make sure that this is the right step for you on your journey of awakening, on your journey of love, on your journey of evolution in this beautiful life. So, is there anything you want to say to the audience? I would love if we just like took a deep breath together and then maybe you had some last words of what would feel good to kind of close out this beautiful conversation on. So let's just close our eyes, everyone, unless you're driving, listening to the podcast. Keep those eyes open if you can. Big inhale. Widen and expand through the heart and open. And exhale. Thank you for being here, for listening, for watching. Thank you, Leanne, for sharing your gifts and wisdom and medicine. I'm really excited for those who sign up for this integration with you on their path and purpose through the lens of astrology. And I'm going to thank myself for being here. Thank
I'm
you,
gonna
Hill.
thank you too.
So, what,
So
any
beautiful.
love?
I would just remind everybody to stay in their heart. That is where that beautiful map that you chose, if you picture yourself as a soul being deciding to come here and do your beautiful work, you chose that and you imprinted that in the beat of your heart. And anytime that there's fear or doubt or any shadow that we love, look at it with love and just listen to your heartbeat and know that you are always connected to all the planets, universe, to each other, and to love itself. So blessed be.
Just breathed that right in. Thank you so much, Leanne. Thank you, everybody. This is Uplift Lifestyle Podcast. Save this episode, share it, and if you post it to your Instagram, tag us both. I'll also put Leanne's Instagram as well underneath in the YouTube and the show notes, because sometimes I know, because the facilitator thing is a new thing and my community is very devoted, obviously, to me as the face of all of this. I know that sometimes people want to check out, like, what's the vibe? What's the energy? So I encourage you to do that. Check out Leanne's vibe. You're going to be like, thank you. Fuck yes, let's go. But check out the vibe, feel the energy. And as you know, my standards are very fucking high for who I have in my life, what I allow in my life, and B, especially having a facilitator, having facilitators on this team. There is such careful, intentional creation of this beautiful partnership. So I back you through and through. I can't wait
Thank
for this
you.
to go up. And yeah, big love to you all. Mwah. Have the most amazing full moon, and we will connect soon.